Hello everybody, I'm Allie and this is Allie G Reads and welcome back to my channel. I ended up reading 13 books in August, which is like huge for me. Yeah, that's a lot. And I'm happy that I was able to, and I have some nonfiction here. I have quite a bit of horror, a lot more like indie horror, some nonfiction. I've got some contemporary, and then some like mysteries. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first book I'm going to talk about is the worst rated this month. I'm talking Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubka. I hated it. I gave it a 1 star. I'm surprised it has as high of a rating as it does, to be completely honest with you. It was not good. Like, oh my God, no. It was so bad. I don't know if she just maybe didn't know the direction she wanted to go in. I felt like it was kind of all over the place, and she couldn't really narrow down like one idea. Like, it was kind of like mixing The Changeling with like kidnappings. It just, and then the ending was so ridiculous. Like, even some of the reasons why this like old couple did what they did, when you find out, it's just so stupid. And it's like, I don't know, it just didn't feel realistic. It didn't feel thrilling. It just failed on all fronts, in my opinion. So 1 star, totally overrated. I do not know why so many people like it on Goodreads, but here we are. And this next book, the author actually reached out to me and sent me a copy. It's very, very, very new. It is called Ratio of Brooks and Ashley's. Yeah, Ratio of Brooks and Ashley, sorry. It's by an author named Wolvray, and he is and this is also a BIPOC horror, which is excellent. So basically what this book was, I had a lot of fun with it. I gave it a 4 star. I feel like it was a good combo of like horror comedy, and it was very self-aware, and it was very like gory. It was like balls to the walls gore, crazy story. It's about this man, and he becomes cursed, and long story short, the only way he'll ever be happy is if he can date girls only named Brooke or Ashley. And it's kind of like, there's like necromancy in there. There's like, again, like serial killers. There's like gore, just crazy gore. It was so fun. I would compare it to something like the old Evil Dead, or something like Scream or Freaky, the movie with Vince Vaughn, where it's very self-aware and it's just like very gory, but it's super fun. So yeah, I gave it a 4 star, and thank you so much to the author for sending it to me. I really hope you guys check it out. And if you do have Kindle Unlimited, there are a ton of books of his on there, and they're all like $0 with Kindle Unlimited, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, fun horror. So we'll start with the nonfiction I read, first being The Body Is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love by Sonia Renee Taylor. I give this a 3 star. It was really good. I think a lot of people would really benefit from it. I tabbed some stuff off I really liked. I just felt like I was bored, and I felt like I wanted more from it. I think I went in with a different expectation. Yeah, like I didn't get as many tips as I wanted, more like I got statistics and stuff. So it just felt kind of like, I don't know. It just fell flat for me. But again, it's a good book. It's not bad. I give it a 3-star. A lot of people really enjoy it. I know a lot of people that read this that love this. I just went into it with a different expectation. That's all. The other nonfiction I read this month was Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. I gave this a 5-star. This book is, I think, the book on feminism. It's, I think, a lot more accessible than a lot of feminist stuff, because it's true, like, they do forget how women of color are impacted by things, and it deals a lot with like I tapped a lot off. It deals a lot with like hunger is a feminist issue and housing is a feminist issue, and it's so true. And again, like, I grew up really middle class, so I find a lot of like things that we talk about when we talk about Cheryl Strayed's book on feminism, I find a lot of it is inaccessible and it's not relatable. I think when we talk about feminism, a lot of books focus on like business class and like working your way to the top and stuff, which is great. But again, like, this just felt more realistic, and like there's a lot more stuff I can get behind in this book, and it feels like more accessible and maybe easier to find a focus. Like housing and hunger were something that and education was something that I really believed in. Talks about gun violence in the States being like a feminist issue, and it's so true. So again, I think this is the book on feminism to read. It's really accessible. It's really easily broken down. Mickey Kendall did an excellent job, and I learned a lot. So 5 out of 5. This next book I was honestly a little bit disappointed in. I'm not gonna lie. Magma by Thora Horleifsdottir. It's translated from Iceland, so I'm sorry I mispronounced that. But basically, this is a debut, and it's about a woman. It's not long either. It's about a woman in a very toxic, abusive relationship. There is a lot of gaslighting, and I think that this is a really excellent depiction of gaslighting, to be honest. I gave it a 3-star though, because again, like, as much as I loved the emotional abuse aspect and emotional manipulation, and gaslighting again was depicted very realistic in this book, I felt like it was just getting, like, the ending was just such a misfire, and it just went in a direction that I did not want it to go in. And I don't really understand the author's motivation for choosing an ending like that. He's just a real shit person too. The guy, you feel for, like, the girl. It's just, I feel like the ending just was a cop-out. And I feel like, I don't know. I just felt really disappointed by it. But again, it's a good book, and I think a lot of people will really like this. For someone that's ever been gaslit or manipulated, this is definitely relatable, and you will find something you relate to. I felt like the ending was just kind of a cop-out, so 3 out of 5. This book is super hit or miss on Goodreads. And a lot of people on my TikTok were feeling very hit or miss about this book too. The Harpy by Megan Hunter. As you can see, there are a lot of quotes I really liked in this book, and a lot of things I really tapped off, and this cover is fucking beautiful. I give this a 3 to 5 star because I actually really enjoyed it. I do understand why people don't like it. But again, I feel like this suffered from mismarketing. I feel like, yeah, this is not a psychological thriller at all. Honestly, it's almost like if you go into it as like if you go into it as a retelling or like a fable retelling, the book is a lot better. Basically is she studies like harpies. She did in school. And if you like, she gives you like in between each chapter, she gives you like a little brief thing about Harpy, and what they are and were, and her husband ends up cheating on her. There's 3 ways she can hurt him as revenge. So, again, I think it was suffered from mismarketing. So people really were pissed off because it was not thrilling and it's not supposed to be, I don't think. But again, if you look at it almost like one of those feminist retellings of like a mythology or a fable of some sort, it makes more sense and it makes the book better. And this cover is just probably one of the best covers I've ever seen. Okay, so I finally picked this book up after a long time. And this is probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever read. Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo. I gave this a 4-star. So, little backstory on why I picked this up. I'm a huge metalhead. And I remember being a kid and hearing Metallica's One for the first time. Imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die, trapped in myself, body my only thing. So, One is basically James Hetfield wrote after his brother had given him a copy of this book to read. And it really stuck with him. And he felt relatable in some ways, just even though, like, not the war aspect, but he felt relatable to being trapped inside your body. So he wrote the song One. Now, there was also a movie Dalton Trumbo also wrote and directed, made of this. So Metallica's One music video cuts in scenes from this movie. And I remember seeing that as a kid. I think I was like 8. I was kind of discovering rock and metal music in the late 90s. I was like 8 years old. And that was one of them. And I remember seeing that video in full, and it's like 8 minutes long. And it really disturbed me. Like, it really scared me. That's taking my sight, taking my speech, taking my hearing, taking my arms, taking my legs, taking my soul, left me with life in there. Father. Each man faces death by himself. Alone. Yeah, it really, really fucked me up. It really fucked me up. And it stuck with me all those years later. So I finally felt like after reading All Quiet on the Western Front and being really troubled by the graphic depiction of the war in that book, I decided to finally read Johnny Got His Gun. And I'm glad I bought it. This basically is a soldier, I think Vietnam. And he has lost all his limbs, his face, everything, but he's still alive. And he can't live and he can't die. And it's his telling of this situation. It's very much an anti-war book. It's super gruesome and honestly psychologically horrifying. The way Trumbo wrote the protagonist realizing what's happened to him is just fucking the stuff of nightmares. And it's a horrible, horrible, horrible realization that he comes to. And honestly, this is a book that will stick with me as much as the song did. One is still one of my favorite metal songs of all time. Metallica is one of my favorite bands. And honestly, I think that they did an excellent tribute to this book, especially now after reading this book. It just makes it that much better. So this is a 4 out of 5 for me. I don't know if it'll go down as a 5 out of 5 as an all-time favorite with time, but it's definitely a really horrific, traumatizing war book. Okay, this next book, I don't know how to talk about this. Untold Night and Day by Bae Swa. This is translated from Korean. And honestly, I don't know what it's about. So I did not rate this book because, again, I don't feel like it's fair. It's basically a one-day fever dream following a couple people around. And so I can't say any more about it because I honestly don't know what happened. It's very cryptic. It's very convoluted, in my opinion. I don't know. It's really small. I don't know if I'm going to read it again. I love the reflective in the cover. Oh my God. So yeah. If you're into that type of book, perhaps pick this up. But I do not know how to tell you any more about it because I honestly have no fucking clue what happened. So no rating. Very cryptic, very fever dream-ish. This next book was honestly a little bit disappointing for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. I will pick up more of Stuart Turton's work. I do like him as a writer. I gave it a 3-star. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to because I loved The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle so much, and I wanted this to be such a good mystery follow-up, and it wasn't. Basically, you're on a ship and you're following around a cast of characters, and there's a lot of characters in here, by the way. You're following around a cast of characters, and you're kind of getting a Sherlock Holmes-esque detective, Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and something supernatural maybe at play on this boat from Batavia. So it's kind of like a play on Batavia's Graveyard, the actual historical event, but it's very loosely based on that tragedy. I just felt like there were so many people in this book. There were so many characters. It was a little bit hard to remember who was who. I also found I loved the beginning mystery and stuff. When I found out the ending, I was kind of like, really? Like, I felt like it was kind of like a cop-out in a way. So I didn't love that very much. Yeah. And it feels like it's setting it up for a sequel, but I kind of hope I hope it doesn't come that way. It was way too long. I really just wanted to find out what happened in the end. And like I said, with Evelyn Hardcastle, the book, there were some parts in the middle that dragged. This definitely had parts that dragged, but I felt like it was way longer than that one. So 3 out of 5. I'll pick up more of his author's work. That one just wasn't my favorite. Okay. This is a Grindhouse published book. Okay, Grindhouse does some great horror. This is called Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. I buddy read this with with a creator on TikTok, and we both had very similar sentiments. I gave this 3 out of 5 star. I first gave it a 4, and then I changed my mind after I thought about it. This is about a woman who is basically obsessed with this serial killer, and he gives her a task to go and see the Riverman and give him a key. So there's kind of like this mythology of the Riverman going on here, and I really like that type of horror. This was super graphic and super gory, but honestly, I knocked it a star because I really just felt really depressed after this book. Like, it ended and I just felt like really down, and it just wasn't for me. Yeah, I just felt like it was like, I felt gross reading it. I loved like the gore scenes. I like the mythology behind the Riverman, but then when you actually like find out about it, I was kind of like let down. But I just felt really depressed and down. Like, this is just such a bleak horror book, and there's no hope in sight. And yeah, so I don't know if I would recommend this to everybody, but I just was left feeling gross and depressed, and so I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I'm gonna do horror and then my contemporary and then end on a horror. That's how I'll do it. Okay. I love this book. I gave it a 4-star, but it might end up being a 5-star upon reflection by the end of the year. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. I love this cover. This is actually, the author on TikTok said that this is a Swedish artist who painted this, and I love this cover. So this is set in the early 2000s, and this takes place between two women on like an instant messaging thing. And it starts over the sale of an apple peeler. And then things just escalate. This book does an excellent job at subverting the narrative, which is what great horror does. This has very real social commentary on loneliness and obsession and parasocial relationships. And things just get so batshit crazy, off the wall. Things just get wild by the end of this book. And you're just like, oh my God. It's pretty gross at some parts, but it's not gratuitous. It definitely made sense for the story, and oh my God, it's super short. This is such a great book. I really hope more people check this out for horror. But yeah, it was, it escalates fast, and it was quite a ride. But honestly, I could not get past how great that commentary was. Just like when someone is so lonely, like how far they'll go to feel love and accept it. It's insane. So 4 out of 5 star. I fucking loved this book. This was such a highlight of my month. So good. I read finally The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. I did give this 3-star. I liked it, but I was kind of, again, left feeling disappointed because I felt like there was some chapters that dragged a little further than others. I love the premise that 4 siblings go to this fortune teller and basically find out the exact date they are going to die. And then you follow the perspective of each of the 4 siblings in their life leading up till their demise. I liked where some of it went, but I felt like some people's stories were stronger than others. I felt like some were way longer than others. Like it wasn't paced properly, in my opinion. So that, like, the pacing really kind of threw me. Like Clara, I think, gets the most chapters and the most section in this story. And yes, her story was compelling. But I felt like some of the other siblings got gypped a bit, and I would have liked to know more. So it's a good book. I love the premise of fate and destiny and predestination. I love stuff like that, but it just, again, it dragged in some places. So I don't want to say that I totally loved it, but it's a really good book. But this is, again, really mixed reviews and really split down the middle. But people, I think, had the same kind of sentiment where some stories were more compelling than the others, and maybe some got more attention than the others. So some kind of felt rushed or flat. But yeah, 3-star. And this last book was a fucking trip. I gave this a 4 out of 5 star. I might move it up to a 5 out of 5 because I have not stopped thinking about this book. This is called Womb by Duncan Ralston. Fun fact, Duncan Ralston is an author from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I am about an hour away from Toronto, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of supporting local here. This book is a fucking ride, let me tell you. I'm not going to give too much away. This says an extreme horror novel at the bottom. It's very graphic. I was not scared by any of this, by the way. There were parts that did get a visceral reaction from me, but it was not horror as much as I was like, oh my God, ew. Basically what this is, oh, here comes the rain again. Basically what this is is this is a book about a man who rents this hotel room or this motel room, and he hires a plus size prostitute to come there and sit with him. And he has a task for her, but you don't find out till the end. But basically what he wants to do from the beginning of this book on is tell her horror stories. And wowee, this, the best way I can compare the feeling I had to this book was I compare it to watching Audition for the first time. If you do not know the movie Audition, watch at your own risk. But what I mean when I compare this to Audition is not necessarily the story, because they're not similar in any regard. Audition did a wonderful thing where the whole movie is a buildup of tension until the last 15 minutes of the movie. And the last 15 minutes is so fucking horrific, what you're seeing on the screen, that you have to look away because it's so horrifying. That is what Womb is like, where in the pacing, where the whole book, where he's telling these stories, they're getting increasingly more graphic. It's doing an excellent job of building tension. And then it just releases. And I'm just like blown the fuck away by what happened in the ending. It was so batshit wild. But I love this book so much. The gist, again, what great horror does, the gist of this being two very broken, very hurt, damaged people finding commonality. And yeah, I think this is just an excellent book, and for being so small, holy fuck does it go. It's wild. It's so good. So yes, 4 out of 5, maybe subject to change. And that's it. Oh my god, I just spilled coffee all over myself. So please like, comment, and subscribe. I have to go change my outfit and my pants and throw them in the wash really quick. I don't have an exit, so bye.